We all know how challenging forgiveness can be, and it can rob us of our own confidence. On this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence, we're going to dive in with our guest, our very special guest, to talk about forgiveness in a very unique way. So stick around. Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures. To imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. I'm Alicia Couri, your host, and I want to welcome you to Win-Win Women TV. If you've not been here before, I want you to go check out winwinwomen.com. There are so many phenomenal show hosts that's sharing. It's all for women by women. We're a global network of women, so go check it out. And for those of you on our YouTube channel who have joined us, thank you so much. If this show resonates with you, please give us a like, give us a comment, and make sure to share this with a friend. Would love to have you share. If you want to reach out to me or connect with me in any way, please go to alicia360.com, and there you can connect with me. Let me know your thoughts on the show, what you thought about, how it went, and also anything else that you'd like to share, especially if you'd like to be a guest on this show here. We always welcome guests on our Unleash Your Audacious Confidence show. We also have several other shows that you can be a guest on, so don't miss out on that. So just reach out to me, go to alicia360.com and send me a message if you're interested in being a guest. Now, on today's show, it's special because it's so important. This what I'm talking about, especially this time of the year. This is the new year. This is we're stepping into the new year, and we all need to step in more confidently. And one way to promote that is through forgiveness. Forgiveness fosters healing. Healing helps you boost your confidence and step out and be your most audacious self. So we're talking about forgiveness, and I have an incredibly special guest. She is amazing, and I want to invite my beautiful sister, Leisel, to come on and join us on the show. See what I did there this time? This is my beautiful sister. This is Leisel
Thank you.
Davis-Seepaul. And we're going to talk, we're going to, spill the tea a little bit on our family,
Mhm.
but it's not in an effort to just spread our stuff, not just to
Yeah.
share, our what we went through, but also to share from a place of helping others. We really want this story
Mhm.
to help someone else that might find themselves in the situation that we were most recently in.
Yes.
And having forgiveness can help you walk through this process with grace.
Mhm.
So, Lizelle is, eh, let me tell you, I admire this woman so much, not just because she is my sister, but she's been through a lot, and she is graciously sharing some of what she went through and what she's had to heal through to help you. I have not gone through a lot of what she's gone through, but I am here to be empathetic and to ask the questions. So I'm gonna first start off with welcome, Lizelle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we grew up in a time, so we're Gen Xers, and we grew up in a time when there was no such thing as gentle parenting. That was not a
Hmm.
thing. And
Yeah.
we're from the Caribbean, we're from Trinidad, so even that's like a double dose. Um, so, where anybody could hit you at any time, any
Yes.
adult has permission, whether it's a neighbor, a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, or a parent, they could wail on you. Um,
Yeah.
so we grew up in that era, And
Mm-hmm.
it's my experience is different from her experience, but I want to
Yeah.
talk about our child, not our childhood, but talk about our parents from us from being young adults. So we were young
Mm-hmm.
adults when our parents separated and then divorced, but it it was a really difficult, painful, nasty
Mm-hmm.
divorce that they went through. And I had already left home, so I was not, I had left the country actually. I didn't just leave home, I left the country.
Country. Yes.
And you were there
Mm-hmm.
experiencing this. So first of all, share with us how you ended up moving back into our childhood home with our parents, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of take it from there.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, first
Of
of
course.
all. Um, and as you said, I moved back home. My husband had a really bad car accident, and just to help his healing, and also because getting to and from work where we lived was a lot more challenging than where the childhood home was. And my parents were living there. There were four empty bedrooms. They said, "Come along, you know, move back in," so that we were there as our parents were approaching their 30th wedding anniversary. As my sister mentioned, things had been rocky growing up. There was a time when we were teenagers when our father said, we might be separating, and we were
Mhm.
just like ready for him to go, but
Yeah.
that never
Yeah.
never
I mean,
happened.
yeah, things were rough at that time too. And just him
Hmm.
coming to us and saying that he was ready to leave. And we were like, well, go already. Like
Yeah,
we would prefer life without you in the house, really. So
yeah.
yeah, it was tough from that at that time.
But he didn't go,
He
and
didn't.
he didn't. And approaching their 30th anniversary, they were doing something called Marriage Encounter, which is a program of the Catholic Church. So we did not grow up Catholic, but my father was Catholic. And this is a program to help strengthen and encourage married couples. So they would often host the meetings at our home. So as the anniversary was coming, I thought, oh, we can have a nice little 30th anniversary celebration for them. And I invited some of the couple Marriage Encounter. And the anniversary came, and the party was very awkward. It there was a lot of tension that I didn't understand at the time. And shortly after that, uh, my father was actually coming home 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or not till the next morning. And then shortly after that, he left. He left the home altogether. And as my sister said, it was a very bitter, unpleasant divorce. But more than that, I was the person going to work in the car. I was driving to work every morning with my mother, an hour and a half traffic to get to work,
And then
an
back home.
hour,
So it's like
same
three
thing back
hours
home,
every
two
day.
to 3 hours every day. And over the course of the year, she was unloading her pain. Uh, Not just directly linked to the divorce, but like
Everything.
everything
30
dad
years
did
of,
ever
yeah,
since
30 years of
1964 when he did something at 19. So it was really it was really tough because I started seeing him in a very different light. You're hearing things that you're not really supposed to hear
you're
about
not
your
supposed to know the
parents.
intimate details of your parents' marriage.
No,
And there
no.
she was, like dumping it all on you on your way home. So, yeah, that did shift your perception of who he was and how he was,
Hmm.
hearing it through her pain. And I just want to,
Yes.
again, if you're just joining us, I just want to preface, we're not sharing this. Our father recently passed away, and I'm not sharing this to disparage him in any way, but I'm sharing this to help anyone who's had a difficult time with a parent and then had to caregive for that parent and then mourn that parent. Because sometimes people hold on to these
Hmm.
pains from childhood or from early adulthood of their parents, and they either can't see past it to help their parent through a difficult time when they're aging, or they pass and then they hold on to all this stuff. So this show is about
Hmm.
forgiveness and being able to release and heal from that. And that's why we're kind of digging into some of the intimate details of what my sister went through in this process, just to help
Hmm.
you if you recognize that kind of also that kind of trauma that you went through, because it was traumatic to have every day, day in, day out, 2 to 3 hours a day, hearing the intimate details from someone who is hurt and
Yes.
angry and bitter.
Hmm.
And so they don't have a kind word to say about the other person who is a part of who you are, right? Because he's a
Yes.
part of us.
Yeah, we're a part of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you had to endure that for many years because our brother was also out of the country, so it was just you. It was just you.
It was just me.
Yeah.
And for the next 2 years until my brother returned from he was studying abroad. He returned home, and then my husband and I purchased a home and we moved out. But during that time, um, as you said, I was absorbing I was absorbing all of
Bitterness,
the
the
pain
hate,
and the
and
hurt.
the pain, and the
And
but you
and
had nowhere
then
for that to go. So
and
you
then
were
dad
holding
got
on to that.
married. I
And
was
then he
holding
got
on to that.
yes,
And
and
then
he
he
got
got
remarried.
married.
And
Yes.
and just, just from that psychological perspective, he gets married, so he's moving on with his life.
Yes.
Our mother is still in her pain, and she's even more upset because now he's happy and he's moving on with his life, and she is
Mhm.
really upset. And you have no choice but to side with her because you went through that
I heard one side.
separation pain.
There are
Well,
always three sides of a story,
yeah.
and I completely heard one side.
You heard one side only. You just
I
kept
heard
hearing
one
the one
side
side.
only.
So that
But the one side from the
transferred.
parent, the parent that is close to you,
Yeah.
so as far as you're concerned, your side is best side.
Is the best side. It's the right
Yes,
side. Your
it's the
side is the
right
right
side.
side. So how dare he? How dare he
Hmm.
remarry? How dare he? And so there came a point where his 60th birthday, well, even before then, you talk about, you went through something in your own marriage that forced you to understand
What
forgiveness.
forgiveness?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes. We
share
were
just a little
doing
bit of that with us.
we were doing some work at through our church on creating strong, intimate marriages. And through that, a lot of things came up um, between my husband and I on our early marriage, which is a subject for a completely
A
different show,
completely different show.
whole
That's
other
a
show.
whole different forgiveness. Yeah.
And it took a period of 2 years for me to forgive him. So we were still married, still living together, but not intimate for 2 years because I had to walk through and understand, make a decision to forgive and walk through that process.
Mm,
So, coming out of that, I really understood that forgiveness is not a feeling. Forgiveness is about, oh, I'll just, forgive and forget. Forgiveness is an action. It
mm,
is a decision that we make, and we have to take steps and act on that decision. Because at the end of forgiveness is the release, is the healing.
mm.
It's being able to look back and remember, but without the feeling of pain because you've released it.
Right.
And holding on is so harmful to our bodies, physically, mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
spiritually. It causes pain, it causes disease,
Oh, yes.
and that release, being able to live with the free from the pain. So you could still remember the events, but without the pain, without
Without the
being
trauma,
triggered.
right?
It's
Without being
yeah.
triggered, having that
So
trigger of, yeah.
having done that difficult work, uh, having to forgive my father, it was a little less difficult.
Well, I
It did
remember
not
you
take
talk,
2 years.
yeah, I remember you talking about it as a muscle. Like a forgiveness is like a muscle.
Yes,
And so you have to keep exercising it. You have to keep using it.
yes.
And the more you use it, the stronger it gets and the easier it is to
The easier
actually
it
walk
becomes.
through. So yes, so by the time our father's 60th birthday came around and you were invited to his new wife's house,
Yes.
who, by the
His new
way,
one.
shares a
The,
nickname that is
the same
exactly like
nickname.
yours. You all have
The
the
same
same nickname.
nickname.
Liz, we call you
Yes.
Liz. We've called you Liz our whole lives.
Whole life. Yes.
Yes. And now he's married to someone that they call Liz as well. So that in itself
Yes.
is confusing.
That was adding to the pain
That was adding
for
to the pain.
sure.
And now
But I
you're
knew,
invited. Hmm.
yes, but I knew I wanted to go there and um, not be there and be fake or false or, you
Every
know,
time somebody
uh,
says something, it's like, ugh, when are we getting out of here?
yes, because
Yeah.
I realized he was excited about his 60th birthday and he invited us to his new home for the first time. And I realized that I needed to walk in forgiveness so that I can be there and be genuine
Yeah.
and celebrate his birthday with him.
Because at the end of the day, we do love our Father. We love him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we have to make room for that as well, because the bitterness and the anger cannot occupy the same space as love.
Same space.
Right.
Yes.
So coming out of that now, I just want to reference something. We don't have to talk about it, but I just want to
Hmm.
reference that the next thing that you had to deal with was your third child. You know, you were pregnant with your third child and carried her to term and then lost. I don't even know what that experience is for a mother to lose a child during childbirth or lose a child, period. Like that is such a difficult thing. But even through that process, you had to find self-forgiveness.
The not the self-forgiveness, but uh there were things that happened through that process because the complication that occurred that led to Samara's death also almost killed me.
Yes, you almost lost
And
your life.
it is only afterwards I heard how instrumental my father was in the process of helping to save me, of being able to get the private hospital we were at, they didn't have enough units of blood, and he was able to get additional blood and plasma that helped save my life. So even going through that process where I I was questioning myself about um, why we chose to have a uh, oh, I can't even remember the word. I'm just tearing up now. Um,
Sorry.
the delivery was it was scheduled. It was a
Right.
scheduled delivery because my previous two children they came early
They came on,
and
yes, very
they,
quickly. They came early and quickly.
My second, I didn't make it out of the house. She was born at
She was
home.
born on the kitchen floor.
So we were trying to avoid another surprise. So we planned it and we said we'd come in and I'd be induced. But that whole situation, I was questioning myself. Why did we have why didn't we leave it to be natural, and having to go through and forgive myself through that as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Because
so
yes, it was touch and go. You almost died that day as well. And I'm so
mhm,
thankful and grateful that you are still here with us,
yes.
for sure, 100%. Um, so forgiveness had many layers in your life.
Hmm.
And the one of the reasons that I wanted to share or wanted you to share on the show was that parental forgiveness, forgiving our parents for some things
Hmm.
that they had done throughout our lives and our childhood, because there came a point when my father and Liz got a divorce
Hmm.
and he had nowhere to live.
No.
He had nowhere to live.
No,
So share how the whole thing came about where he ended up coming to you.
to me. Um, so I uh, built apartments in my home, and one of my tenants is moving out, just two apartments. The tenant was moving out, and Dad passed to see me. I did not know he had ulterior motives at the time, but he passed to see me, and I was telling him, "Oh, I have to advertise again because the tenant is going." And he said, no, no, you don't need to advertise. I'm looking for somewhere to live because I'm leaving Liz." Like, oh,
Oh,
oh, okay. So I know he forgave you and all, but I,
now I got to live
you
with you.
know,
Now you got to live upstairs in an apartment
so
upstairs my house. Huh.
so this is going through my mind, but of course I told him, yeah, sure. So I spoke to my husband, and he said, if you're okay with it, not a problem. But if he starts to cause you any grief, he's out of there because I don't want him,
Right. Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yes, causing you any more pain.
So
So
in
yeah.
2017, he moved in,
And like I
and
said, forgiveness is layers. It's layered. So
yes,
while you're
yeah,
practicing forgiveness, you have other opportunities that come into your life to prove how
to
much you have
prove
forgiven this person.
that's right.
You can
That's
continue to get
right.
opportunities. Um, so yeah, so he's moved into upstairs of your home, and then 3, 4 years later, he gets his diagnosis and he starts to decline. Um,
Yes,
and I just want to share how, how grateful I am that you took the steps to forgive him when you did, because he needed you more than we would have ever imagined. And you stepped up.
yes.
You stepped up in such a big way. Um, our father got really, really sick, really ill, and you weren't just caregiving for him, but you were also caregiving for our mother, which is another layer of forgiveness, another layer of letting go of a lot of stuff to allow her to live in your house, and then him to live. You had to bring him from his apartment to live in your house when things got
And
really bad
really
with him.
bad. Mhm.
So you were caregiving for two ailing parents, and there were nights where you had to get up and go to the emergency room with him, and we laugh at it because that's how we deal with things, man. We laugh. We're very joyous, joyful people, and so there are things that you would call me or message me. It's like, yep, gotta change the diapers, gotta do this thing, and it's you know I can't. I cannot express how much I
Oh,
appreciate you and I love you. And I hope you understand how much I would do
I
anything for you.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Yes. And
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 taking
I'm
care
so
of him.
grateful for the not just the emotional support, but that we including my brother, were all walking in agreement because there are so many families that they don't agree on anything, on who should do anything, on where their parents should
Or they just
go, on.
abandon everything. Or they just like, I don't want to deal with that. And nobody wants to deal with it. And that is something that I appreciate about us too, is that when it came time to dealing with the hard things,
Mhm.
we were able to come together and deal with the
Together.
hard things.
Yes.
And you having the lion's share of the financial, well, some of the financial burden, because there were some things that you did have to
Mhm.
take care of, but also the mental and emotional. You know, when we had to put him in a home because he had some bed sores that needed to heal, and you didn't have the capacity to take care of it in the way that it needed to be cleaned.
Addressed. Yeah.
Yeah, every 2 hours, and still work. You have your own business, and you have to support your
Mhm.
business and yourself. And him calling every minute to help get him out, and then holding his hand at the end where he's screaming out in pain and having to hold his hand and walk him through that journey until he passed. I am just so eternally grateful that you loved him enough and you were willing to forgive him enough to be there in those moments for him, because I couldn't be there. And I'm just so grateful that you could. But forgiveness is so important. It's so important. And you have to find the capacity to do it. So,
Yes.
Liz, can you share with us 4 steps that you took, those 4 critical steps that you took to walk your forgiveness?
Thank you. Yes. So the first step, now these are not steps that you find in a book or textbook or anything, but it's just what has helped me in a lot of different situations. And the first step is forgiving yourself. So even as we spoke about having to go through and forgive myself with the situation with Samara, even before then, we all make choices in life. Life is about making decisions and choices, and sometimes we make choices that we regret. So not hold on to that. You have to learn to forgive and walk in forgiveness with yourself. Give yourself grace. Treat yourself with kindness.
Yeah.
Um,
Instead of
and the more you
ruminating.
do that, the more it builds that forgiveness muscle,
Yeah.
because then you know, okay, I can walk in kindness and forgiveness with myself, and then extend that empathy to other people. So the person that you're forgiving, you have to remember that they are human. They make bad decisions the same way you make bad decisions. They mess up the same way you mess up. They are not perfect the same way you are not perfect. So remember that we're dealing with human beings, not angels, not,
And
not
I just
robots or machines.
and I want to just emphasize here when it comes to parents, because as children, we look up to our parents. Most
Mm-hmm.
children look up to their parents as infallible. Like they can't make
Yeah.
mistakes because they're our parent they can't make mistakes. They can't be wrong. And then when you grow up thinking that like that and they do make mistakes, it's hard for your child brain, because they're still your parent, to
Mm-hmm.
reconcile with them as fallible human beings. And so when you're an
Yes.
adult now, you have the choice to actually recognize that they were doing the best they could.
Good.
Most
Mm-hmm.
most parents try to do the best they can,
Yeah.
and they don't know everything. And we didn't have internet when we grew up, so nobody was
No,
researching anything on the internet.
nobody Googled anything.
Nobody Googled anything to find
No,
out how to deal with this situation, or we didn't have
nope.
therapy like we do now. So there are a lot of things that happened that we just have to now learn how to give grace
To
for.
forgive.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And
Just
then,
try to put yourself back in their shoes and, oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
like when you think about mom, 21 years old, pregnant,
Mhm.
married.
Hmm.
At, it's like I couldn't imagine being 21 and being pregnant and trying to figure
Pregnant
out
and
life, right?
no. Yeah.
So, right. Um, anyway, number
So
three.
step two, forgive.
Yeah.
Step three is acknowledge the pain because you're not forgiving someone, just generally. You are forgiving them for what they've done to you. You're forgiving them for the pain that you
Hmm.
experience. You're forgiving them for whatever situation has occurred. It has to be specific, and you
Hmm.
have to acknowledge it. And that's the hardest step because you have to walk through. It's not about forgive and forget. It's about walking through and remembering so that you can get to a point where you forgive and remember without the pain. So you can remember the situation, you could remember the event, but without the accompanying pain, without
Trauma
being
trigger
being
with it.
triggered, without the
Yeah.
anger, without the tears.
You know,
And that step, acknowledging what
yeah.
they did, it's the hardest step, and that's the one that
Yeah.
really needs the work, the muscle.
Yeah. Because
Um,
even, I like how you say forgive the event, the thing, not, it has to be specific about it.
has to be specific.
Because once you give someone grace, once you understand they're human and they're flawed and they're fallible,
Mhm.
it's no longer about them doing something to
No,
you. It's now there was this specific incident that happened, and I need to forgive them for this thing, how they made me feel, what they did for this thing. It's not everything. It's not
it's
their
not.
everything they did. Yeah.
No, no. Um, because then see the deeper you go, the bigger the release is
Yeah.
at the end. Because that the last step after you've forgiven yourself, you walk through and acknowledge their humanity, you acknowledge the pain, you acknowledge what they did, then the last step is releasing and blessing. You have to bless because you cannot bless and curse at the same
At the same
time.
time. Yeah.
But when you release blessings, blessings return to you. I'm not sure where I heard it, um, but we know, people say life and death is
It's in the power of
is
the tongue.
is in the power of the tongue. But when you speak, the first person that hears everything you say is yourself. So
Yes.
your body is both giving and receiving what you speak. So when you speak and bless people, you are also receiving that blessing.
Ooh, that's
So
good.
bless. And the more you bless, the more difficult it is. So
To
you
then curse
cannot hold
them.
on to anger and
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah. It's so true.
So forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's not a feeling. It's a process, and it's steps that you can take. It's action. The more you do it, the stronger and easier it becomes to forgive because it's just like working on any muscle. You
Yeah.
can't start off lifting 50 pounds. You have to
No,
do
you have
two
to
and a
build to
half,
it. You could build to it.
do
Lizelle,
the five.
we're out of time. We're actually over time. And I know I've enjoyed
Oh,
talking to you. I really do.
mhm.
I love talking to my sister.
Yes.
And we've had a strange relationship as kids. We did not have a close relationship, but I'm
No.
so grateful that we're close as adults, that we've figured out each other and figured out
Yes.
that we don't have to be the same person to love each other.
Yes.
So I
That's right.
appreciate you taking the time to come here and share some of your journey with us.
You are welcome. You're very welcome.
I love you. I love
Yes.
you. I love you.
Love you. Love you too.
All right. And with that, this is the time of the year to really focus on forgiveness
Mhm.
before you enter into a new year. So take
Yes.
those steps that Lizelle shared with you and start practicing them so that 2025 is a year that you can really live healed, fully in your confidence. And with that, I'm going to say be bold, be brave, and every day do one thing to step out with audacious confidence. Until next year, I will see you on another episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. Mwah! This is Alicia Couri saying bye for now. Turnover. It's incredibly expensive for any organization, but especially those that are small and mid-size. If you're an organization and you're hiring, it's so important to get it right. You need to identify the right people for the right roles. Here at Audacious Concepts, Inc., we help you perfect your hiring process so you get it right every single time. Reach out to us at audaciousconceptsinc.com